So, do you know what? Do you know what I've really been quite invested in lately? Airbnb dramas.
I'm cleaning our Airbnb and our guest stole our coffee maker, two picture frames, and a fake plant. What was the purpose of that?
Because there are many accounts dedicated to Airbnb hosts and do the let's see how our guest left the Airbnb and then I gotta clean it, yada yada yada. And for the most part, these hosts are really quite reasonable. And for the most part, guests leave the house pretty good tip-top condition. There are definitely some where the guests have absolutely trashed the place, and I can understand the frustrations that's coming from the host. However, there's definitely some where these hosts are getting called out because their rules aren't really making a lot of sense, and the cleaning fees are not really making a lot of sense. It's really, well and truly, they have some pretty damn good guests.
The last night of their stay, they sent me a text saying that the carbon monoxide detector was going off and that they were sitting outside with the doors open and they didn't know what to do. I was freaking out and was thinking I was gonna have to call 911, but then I was like, wait a second, send me a video. Chirp sounded like for the fire alarm. So she sent me a video, and lo and behold, it was just a low battery chirp. I told her don't worry, she's safe, and that I would change the battery first thing in the morning when she checked out, and she told me that she felt more comfortable if I changed it right now. I told her I couldn't stop what I was doing to do that, but I would ask my husband if he could, and she said, and I quote, "We need it changed today, otherwise we are going to stay somewhere else and expect a refund." So my husband was able to change it out within 15 minutes and they were fine. I hope they don't leave a bad review because they were not very understanding that we are just humans and have other obligations.
Now, I've stayed in my own fair share of Airbnbs. My partner actually has an Airbnb as well. I hear all about Airbnbs, right? I hear all about it. I used to help the kids' granny clean, rents it out now, like she lets it out. For a couple of years, she was doing booking.com. I don't think she did Airbnb, but she did, I think, she did booking.com. Despite that being the case, I am also kind of sick and tired of every other person renting out their space as an Airbnb. I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that I live somewhere where, I'm not even joking, like 70% of the houses are like either second homes or they are holiday rentals, Airbnbs, whatever. I also firmly believe that some people just should not be hosts. Some of these people want the additional income, don't really want to have to put in the work to either maintain it or clean it or pay someone else to clean it or whatever, and then expect the guests to do absolutely everything up to such a high standard that if that standard is not met, then there is war to pay. Likewise, I don't really agree with just every single person setting up a property as an Airbnb. Like, we have too many of them. I kind of see like two sides of the coin, and I do really like weighing in on this whole like Airbnb drama.
One thing that irks me about staying at an Airbnb is the huge list of chores they give you to do before you check out. This place had us checking out at 10 a.m., which royally made me mad. Then we had to strip all the beds, put everything in the showers, run the dishwasher, basically leave the place spotless. Paid a $250 cleaning fee. I do understand you should be respectful and leave it nice, but this is crazy.
I love them. I love talking about it. So there's this woman called Tyrell. She has a beautiful Airbnb. I actually believe she has more than one. She's been a host for about 3 years roughly. And she does the whole clean with me's and come in and check out what the previous guests have left us. That kind of thing, yeah. Fairly standard, fairly typical.
Let's see how this guest left it. Oh, it looks like they bought free and clear dryer sheets. See if they left anything in the fridge. Some waters. Half bathroom. Office area. Now let's check upstairs. I'm really hoping they only used one bed because I think it was just two guests. Dang it, I think they used more than one. Next bedroom. Last bedroom. I see something on the floor. I don't really know what these are.
However, she has made a couple of complaint videos that have people completely riled up. She made this video talking about this complaint that she had received where the person was actually requesting money back and Airbnb did actually give them their money back.
I recently just hosted maybe the worst Airbnb guest I've ever had. Not because they trashed the place or broke anything, but because they lied and essentially extorted us for money.
What the hell was the guest complaining about? Emma says that ultimately they ended up wanting the money back because they said that the Airbnb was messy. In specific, she says that when the guests checked in, they had an issue because there was dog poo in the garden. And also she has this great big, looks lovely, but like a humongous bath, but there wasn't enough hot water to fill it and then also have showers as well.
These guests actually booked a few months ago to stay over Christmas. They asked if we would decorate for them for Christmas, and I just said, like, sorry, we don't do that, but you're welcome to if you would like to. I should have listened to my instinct that something was weird here, because that seems like a harmless request, right? But it's when guests start having a ton of requests like that it's a red flag. Mom and I clean the Airbnb before they get there, so I know myself that it is clean. They asked to check in early, which we accommodated pretty much immediately. They had messaged us to complain about the fact that there was dog poop in the yard, which is our fault, and also, like, it's not that big of a deal. We are a pet-friendly Airbnb. It's very clear in our listing. We responded within minutes. We genuinely were happy to go pick it up for them, but they said no. They were just gonna throw it out themselves.
Okay, and Emma's kind of like taken aback by this, and my theory is, right, I have a dog. Case in point, here he is. Sonny, come here. Show everyone Picky Winkle. Up, up. Yeah, no, he does. He is the light of my life. However, if I checked into an Airbnb and there was dog poo in the garden, I'd be so annoyed, because not only that, I've got kids and also I've got feet and I don't like standing in dog poo, don't like my kids being around dog poo, don't like my other dog potentially standing in dog poo. No.
They also messaged us to say that the hot water wasn't working properly when they started to fill up the bathtub. And they had showered before filling it up, which used some of the hot water. But anyway, it was Christmas Eve. Alex went over there with my dad immediately, like within minutes of them messaging us about it, to check that the hot water heater was working properly. My dad's an electrician. They checked that the hot water elements were working. They were. And Alex talked to the guests in person to explain. It's a really big bathtub. It uses all the hot water. So if you're going to use the bathtub, you just like can't shower beforehand.
Also, the water thing, I agree with what people are saying. There were comments that were saying, I'm sorry, but if I'm staying at an Airbnb and try to take a bath, the hot heater should support the size of the tub. Now, granted, that tub is huge, but 100% agree. I don't know, I can't remember how many people she said were in this booking, but it was like a sizable amount. They're obviously going to want baths, showers, I also have a hot water tank, and it gives you quite a lot of hot water. I just remember to like turn it on at certain parts of the day. I think it's actually on a timer at the minute. If there's not enough hot water, then obviously you're going to complain. And apparently the guests actually ended up leaving.
And that their family members had to leave because there was no hot water. They then also requested that we refund them $350 because of it being messy and because there was no hot water, which is just an inflation of the truth. It was not messy. My mom and I cleaned ourselves. I have picture proof that I submitted to Airbnb that it was clean. We were able to prove that the hot water heater was working. So Airbnb didn't demand that we refund the money. Airbnb actually refunded them $350.
I don't actually think that she got swindled, just because when she's going on about like, oh, how, you know, everything is pristine, like there's no way there was any mess. She doesn't count like having dog poo in the garden as like mess or like as a problem, because apparently, there's dogs anyway, it's a dog friendly place. No. What happens if your dogs had illnesses, worms? This is really gross, but you know, like parasites, stuff that can be transferred from human to dog to dog to dog. No. And I would be very happy with being in a dog friendly accommodation, but if I saw dog poo that wasn't my own dog's poo, no.
I already know that I'm not going to be leaving them a 5-star review, so I don't have high hope.
Interesting thing is, Emma comes back on and she does a controversial things that I do as an Airbnb host, and one of them is I do not allow smoking anywhere.
I don't allow smoking anywhere on the property, not even outside. I've had problems with guests leaving cigarette butts around, and I also want to avoid any cigarette smell being brought into the Airbnb.
They had like cigarette butts everywhere, which I can understand. Come on, we should be using ashtrays. I can understand that is really annoying. What I will go on to say though is that she has a big issue with cigarettes, but then she doesn't see such a big issue with there being dog poo lying around the garden. When someone smokes, smoke stays and, you know, it clings and it will get in and out. You know, I understand that. Likewise, you can also tread dog poo around the house, which also isn't very nice. Neither of which are nice topics to talk about. But I'm just saying, like, if we should be caring this much about smoking outside, we should also care about picking up the dog poo. We should care about both. Also does not leave any complimentary gifts anywhere, nothing like that. I'm not saying you have to do that at all, but I just think it's a nice little touch. The thing that is the main gripe that we do have is the cleaning fees, as she does in fact charge a cleaning fee.
Number one, I charge a cleaning fee even though I clean the Airbnb myself. I do this because my time is worth something. Just like any employee, I pay myself for the hours spent cleaning and preparing the space for guests. The cleaning fee helps cover both my time and the supplies.
The cleaning fee conversation comes up so much because there is a recent bit of drama with this woman called Maya, and when I say she got dragged by the Airbnb community because she videoed herself going into her Airbnb, and she says that this was the worst, the most trash state her Airbnb has ever been left in ever.
I just had Airbnb guests in my Airbnb for the past 9 nights. Always makes me a little bit nervous, and it was a group of men, which they always leave the house just a little bit dirtier than a normal family guest would. Let's see how things are looking. I'm not feeling super hopeful. Getting off strong. Water bottles and tortillas on the table. Sweatshirt left. This is actually maybe the worst I've seen it. A full sink of dishes, a loofah on the counter, water bottles on every corner of the house, and did not get the trash out. Let's go check the upstairs. Also, all of the lights are left on. Another water bottle. The bedrooms are trashed. What in the world is this? Entire bag of laundry, and then another bag of laundry. The hell? An air mattress. I don't even want to know what that is. They left all of their clothes. I'm genuinely so confused right now. This is terrible. This is actually so bad. I've seen some weird stuff with Airbnb. My house has never been this trashed before. Honestly, the basement is the best of it, but also it's gross. This is gonna be the most work that I have ever had to do to clean Airbnb.
Now bear this in mind, it was 9 nights with these men. From what I can see, there were a few water bottles. Actually, there were quite a few water bottles scattered around. There were dishes left in the sink. The bin hadn't been taken out. Surfaces needed a quick run round. There were some like bags of clothing that were left, which then led her to think like, have people actually checked out? Like I reckon some of these people went out and got really quite, wasted for quite a few. Maybe it was like a bachelor trip. I don't know, but I reckon these guys, were out drinking and then were really hungover. She said that they all like checked out at like 5 a.m. I didn't think. Yes, it's messy, but it's not dirty. She says that this was the most work she has ever had to put into an Airbnb, and it took her like 5.5 hours total. Now, we did just see her tidying up the messes. She essentially just gets like a big bin bag and just tips everything into it, which really hurts my recycling heart, because someone says to her like, don't you recycle? And she's like, only on Earth Day, which isn't that like once a year? Like over here we have like different bins for like different recyclable materials, all of that. Like our taxes like go into the service. I feel weird chucking plastic bottles in main bins. Someone said, how is that trashed? It's messy but so easily picked up in an hour. And Cam says, an extra hour of work, exactly. Someone else said, it's dirty but not trashed, it's just clothes and trash. Cam says, so you'd leave a house like this? Someone else said, far from trashed, use the cleaning fee. Cam says, the $100 isn't covering the 5.5 hours it took me to clean. Like, how did that take you 5.5 hours? I don't know. I'm just like so deeply confused, because I remember when I used to help out with cleaning the Airbnb, like, we didn't just go around and like, you know, wipe the surfaces and do this and that. No. We'd be like hoovering, mopping, like really like cleaning. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's expected. Obviously there are like limits, there are, you know, you shouldn't trash the place. Cleaning and I feel like a lot of these Airbnb hosts, we don't really see them clean, we just sort of see them like wipe things and go over the shower doors and whatnot, but it's not talking about everyone, but it doesn't look like deep cleaning. Same with my partner, who hires a cleaner to do the changeovers. She full on cleans, and I believe it takes her like between like 3 and 4 hours to clean the whole house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I don't know, I feel like some of the standards, some of the expectations that you place on guests is just way too high when you are also charging a cleaning fee. And she does clarify that this cleaning fee is like $100 if you stay there for 3 or more nights, I'm pretty sure.
And I'm getting a lot of comments about what's your cleaning fee for if you think that this is so ridiculous to have to clean. Do you really expect your guests to strip the bed? Is it really that big of a deal for you to have to clean up some trash around the house? And let me just tell you this real quick. When I charge you a cleaning fee through Airbnb, that cleaning fee covers 2 hours of my cleaning time. Me having to do several loads of laundry for bedding and towels. It covers me having to reset all of the beds. That covers me unloading the dishwasher that you should have started before you left, because your Airbnb host should never have to do your dirty dishes. You are a grown adult. You should be able to do your own dishes. You do not need someone to come in and totally clean up your messes. Wiping down all surfaces through the house, every single surface. Cleaning all floors in the house. Scrubbing your boot marks. Wiping down every shower. Covered. Folding all of the laundry for 3 bedrooms. What my cleaning fee does not cover is me having to clean up after you in ways that you should be able to clean up after yourself as a grown adult. When my cleaning time goes from 2 hours to 4.5 hours. Otherwise, there's 2.5 hours of time that I'm not getting paid for. So yes, as an Airbnb host, we reserve the right to charge you extra. Say I had people checking in yesterday, there would have been no way that they would have been able to stay there, because guess what? I have to go back today after already cleaning for 4 hours yesterday.
And I don't know, I just don't feel like that is enough of a deep clean in between people. Like, that's very surface level. Yeah, that is going to take you a couple of hours, but then the extra stuff that she had to do, why did that add on like an extra 3.5 hours? Like, why? I don't understand. Not just that, but she then had to go back the next day, and she was happy that the other guests weren't checking in until the next day, otherwise she would have had to cancel it. How? I'm so confused. I feel like there shouldn't really be an additional cleaning fee unless the Airbnb is left in such a state that you know, you have to go above and beyond. But I don't even feel like what they're describing as like 2 hours worth of cleaning, which I don't feel like 2 hours is enough time in between people. You have to think about it, like, these people are here for 9 days, they're not getting like fresh bedding, fresh towels, which is what you would get in a hotel. They're not getting any of that, and you're kind of expecting it to be absolutely bang on spotless. I mean, the mess that she showed, yeah, was it inconsiderate just to like leave water bottles? Yeah, of course it was, but in no way, shape or form was that additional 3.5 hours worth of work. No way.
I have been an Airbnb host for 2.5 years, and that is the worst I have ever seen my house left. I do not expect the guests to clean my house for me. It's one thing to strip the bed, it's another thing to start the laundry. I do not expect you to start the laundry. As a matter of fact, I really don't care if you strip the bed. That was one minor thing in my checkout procedure. I don't really care all that much if you don't strip the bed.
Now, she does say that she doesn't expect her guests to clean her house for her, but I really don't think that's true. I don't feel like that is satisfactory enough in between bookings. I don't.
When you pay the base rate for the night, that is the value that we believe our property is for a nightly stay, based on bedrooms, bathrooms, location, and amenities of the property. My weekly rate for a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom, as well as additional air mattresses available if you choose to sleep up to 8 people in the house, during the week is $150. On a regular weekend is $175. My cleaning fee assumes that I have to clean the house for 2 hours after your stay, regardless. When you are staying at an Airbnb, you are staying at someone's personal property. They own everything in the house. Your rate and your fees include wear and tear of that property, the basic cleaning that has to be done. If there's extra cleaning involved, that is an extra fee, because guess what? If I wasn't the house cleaner of my Airbnb and I had to hire a cleaning service, I wouldn't have had to pay them for 2 hours to clean yesterday. I would have had to pay them to clean for 5.5 hours.
Now, what I do think is that some hosts are charging way too much money for the property, for the staying, and on top of that are charging a cleaning fee. And I personally feel that unless the house has been left in a freaking state, like I'm talking destructive state, like imagine not cleaning up after a party state, not the water bottles and the stuff in the sink and a few clothes, I'm talking like actual wreck and ruin state, I don't feel like there should be an additional cleaning fee.
And guess what? That's going to cost me extra. So if that costs me extra as an Airbnb host, that's not a cost that I'm just willing to eat. That is a cost that goes to the person who made the mess. Sorry, I'm on my pedestal right now. If you don't agree with that, I fully believe you're one of the people in the world who believes that everything should be handed to them on a silver platter. You should have free handouts. You shouldn't have to work for anything.
Definitely not among those people, but I am going to stand here and argue the fact that the additional work that you had to do does not look like it should have totaled 5+ hours. Like, absolute no way, Jose. It just doesn't look like it. All well and good. You can charge people extra if they have like really effed up the place. But the fact that that additional mess took you 3 and a bit hours more than it normally would is really concerning. And I'm not advocating for everyone just leaving where they stay in a mess. To basically charge them extra because they made you go from 2 hours to 5 hours, when that should not be taking you 5 hours, but it should be taking you more than 2. I feel like 2 hours is not enough for a good enough clean. And then I also feel like 5 hours is way too much for what you showed that you had to do. Someone said, I have been cleaning Airbnbs for many, many years. In no way you would have had to cancel the incoming guests. That could have been absolutely cleaned in one day. Agreed. Cam said, it took me 5.5 hours. My turnaround time between guests is 4. Fortunately, I had 2 days. Or hire a professional cleaner because they are rapid. And tell you what, one of the most interesting things is the overwhelming amount of people who just flat out do not like Airbnbs anymore. And it has kind of got me thinking, like, I used to love staying in Airbnbs because I felt like I was getting good value for money. I was staying at someone's house, especially if you go abroad. I really like it because you're able to like stay in like the proper hub of towns and cities and stuff without and you kind of feel like there's no limitations, you can come and go. It feels really, really nice. But nowadays I just feel, especially in this country as well, it's so expensive. I've got absolutely zero issue. In fact, I believe that we should be tidying up after ourselves. But when it starts to get to a point where you are paying the equivalent of someone's rent just in a few days. And you're then expected to do XYZ, check out at like 10 a.m. You can't check in until like 3 or 4. It starts becoming a little bit like, okay, so what actually is the benefit here? Like, I might as well just stay in a hotel where I do get some of these extras, and maybe they have like a restaurant, a bar, stuff attached to it. My last place I stayed in was an Airbnb, but partner and my girl's going to London next weekend, and we've booked to stay in a hotel, and I haven't stayed in a hotel in absolutely ages, and I'm actually really excited to do that because the amount of money that I've paid for like 3 nights in London is like literally the equivalent of spending a similar amount of money for an Airbnb not in London. And then it kind of like London prices can be extreme. Have Airbnb prices just gotten out of control? And are people just buying up houses just to Airbnb them out? Because at this point, I'm kind of convinced, and where I live is kind of living proof of that. It takes away the element of community. I have found that, and luckily around here there are enough locals. It's a real nice community feel anyway. But in the summer, I mean, in the summer it can just be quite overwhelming because you have a lot of tourists, which is like great, but then you have a lot of people who are just dropping in and, you know, coming in, coming out, dropping by, and it does take away that community feel. I can understand it from both sides. I like staying in Airbnbs if the hosts are reasonable. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say on today's topic of conversation. What do you guys think about today's topic? Do you agree with what I've said? Do you think that Airbnb hosts are getting out of control? Do you actually agree with what they're saying? Let me know. I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.